So I'm delighted to welcome onto the How to Cut It podcast from Chaulk Education, Sarah Spiers. Welcome along, Sarah.
Hey, Dom, thank you for inviting me. This is absolutely amazing. I feel very honoured.
It is an absolute honour to chat to you.
Oh,
You know,
bless
you're
you.
kind of this generation of the new breed of educators. And I know, actually, I say generation like you're sort of
Geriatric.
18, 19, you started out. But we actually just realised that we're of the same generation, which I
Mm.
could not believe, Sarah. You started out in the 80s, didn't you, in hairdressing?
Oh my goodness, yes. Actually, I'm now looking back, and I don't know if we do this with rose-coloured glasses or not, but I found it quite a great decade to be learning in hairdressing. We had lots of very young companies that are now very well established. And there were lots of creativity, I think, as well. We'd come out of like the punk era into the new romantics, and lots of people were doing things with their hair, which gave us, ammo so that we could create. And what I think is really happening right now is there is almost a nudge back to that area, that era where there's a lot of bleaching going on. That didn't happen for a few decades, and now it's coming back. And we're seeing some creative, crazy creative stuff. It's incredible, yeah.
I'm glad you just shared that because I was thinking that myself. I almost feel that hairdressing has gone back to that really exciting period. Now, I know everybody will have their period and they'll say, well, the 70s was exciting or the 80s, but I really get what you're saying because the 80s was the start of something really special in the industry, and also it kind of went celebrity as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hairdressing was thrusted into the consumer TV, and it really built the profile of our industry as well, and I think that led to names such as Tony and Guy, which I do believe you were part of as well, the Tony and Guy era.
Yes, my goodness. So I started in hairdressing, which I would say is pretty late. I think it was about 17, 18. My dad said that I really wanted to be a hairdresser. And my dad convinced me that college was the way to go. So I went to college, did really badly, and then went off and started in the first one of the first franchises of Tony and Guy, actually. So Tony, his name was Tony, but he had to change it to Peter. So Peter Ulatowski. Oh my God, what an incredible, inspirational guy. For someone of 17 coming on 18, he just blew my mind in the way he made me think so alternatively and so out of the box, um, quite mindfully as well, which was something that wasn't really going on or hadn't been going on in my life before. So, yeah, it was extremely inspirational, and we were very well connected to um, the main academy in St Christopher's Place. So we would go up there quite a lot and mingle with the stars, as I saw them as.
Yeah, I got that completely as well because again, I was surrounded by that Tony and Guy period, and they did feel like stars in that early
Mm.
days, and I guess it's what you learned in these sort of environments was the art of colouring and the excitement that you got in colouring, and it actually made me chuckle a little bit when I read a bit about you, and you actually said that you had no patience for cut and blow drying.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right. The fact of the matter is, we used to do training, which was incredible in our salon. Everyone was very into it. Everyone wanted to give. And we would do it in the mornings when everyone was fresh, which is brilliant for me because I'm worse in the evenings for anything, always have been. And just being told that I had to go and do a round brush blow dry, um, well, for why? This this lovely old lady came in the salon with her set, and I was like, what? Why? I just couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it. And I remember there was this one haircut that used to drive me mad, and it was called the Athletico. And I I just didn't understand. They would talk about angles and the shape of the head, etc. Just didn't work for me. However, I really leaned to wondering why. Oh gosh, at the time, perms were everywhere. Um,
They certainly were.
there were like 14 different ways to perm, and when I did my vardering at Tony and Guy, I had 14 different perms to do. So I mean, it was incredible. It was a bit bizarre, but it was incredible. That's why my hands are ruined. It was all from all the neutralizing. Um,
Yeah, you cannot stress this. I know people of the younger generation are going to think, "Oh, we don't need to hear that," but perming was for the trainees of the 1980s was
oh
the death of
yes,
us. Was
oh yes.
neutralising a spiral perm.
Oh my God. Don't. The basins are never
20
big
minutes
enough.
of rinsing
Oh my
rollers,
goodness.
blotting it dry with cotton wool.
No, stop it.
You, I
Stop.
can smell it right now.
Yes. Well, that, I think maybe it was the chemicals that got to me, but it really got me to thinking about made me excited, the science behind color and perming and the technical side of things. And I had a great mentor at the time. The way we used to work, and some salons still do this throughout the UK, is that you specialize in one thing. So you do your first year
Sure.
doing both. And because I hated blow drying and I couldn't understand how to cut the Athletico, I like gave up on the styling side
I
of
need to see
hair.
the Athletico. I don't know what the Athletico haircut is, but
Oh my
it sounds
God.
intriguing.
Orange peel sections. I mean, I can still remember it. It was very sort of bowl-esque, but had a lot of orange peels, if I can remember, orange peel sections or segments through it. Um, and a lot of
Beautiful.
scissor over comb, to up to the occipital bone, and then I can even I can repeat this guy Nick. He was so good at doing scissor over comb. Oh no, no, it's not for me. Sorry.
But the chemical structure of hair was what really was sort of changing, and that sort of grabbed you, didn't it? And I guess
Yeah,
it's led you in a pathway that you've now gone. And you were just saying that you kind of you had to grab your side. You were either haircutting or you were a color technician
yeah,
or and
exactly,
perming technician. So
exactly.
that was a route that you took because it grabbed you.
Most definitely. I've always wanted to know the why in everything. And my grandfather was a carpenter, and I would always be in his workshop wondering how he did things and why that happened and why the oil did certain things rather than the varnish, or it was maybe again intoxicated by the fumes, but it really grabbed me. It really did, and it was something that I can relate to, and I find maybe it's because I was told once upon a time that hair people that do the technical side of hairdressing more and lean more to that use their left side of the brain more. They're more logical, and I wonder if that's the case. I've never seen myself as creative. The guys that style and can really make shapes in hair, I'm in awe of, absolute
Mm.
awe of. I mean the up and coming stars at the moment like Lydia Wolf and Jack Mead. I'm just Jack Mead's styling and creative cutting is phenomenal. Just to name but one of many that I see. And yeah, I mean, complete awe, but I just, because I don't get it, I suppose.
No, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? That sometimes clients have said to me, "Oh, you've got to be artistic or creative," and quite often I actually think to myself, "No, I'm not. I'm actually just very commercial in what
Mm,
actually I do." But what I like what you're saying here and about the whole part of colouring and with Chaulk education, which is all around built, about that science and
mm,
understanding the colour. That's almost what I feel, Sarah. It makes colour a great colorist
mm-hmm,
is the fact that it's not always the techniques, if you don't mind me saying. I think
Yeah,
the techniques can be more
yeah,
relatively simple, but it's understanding the colours, isn't it? And that's why, somebody like you is really suited to this, because you ask yourself, why? Why is this going to work?
exactly. Again, it's something that chalk that I do in chalk education, where the way I lead from it, it was always, oh gosh, this again went back. This goes way back to I think when I applied for a job at Brooks and Brooks back in the 90s, I believe.
That small little local salon, Brooks and
Yes,
Brooks, eh?
little Sally and Jamie, bless them.
Yes,
And
yes.
I remember writing in the email and saying, I'm just so sick of. I don't want to be rude or crude to anyone, but I'm just so sick of people not actually understanding what color is about. And yeah, it is very easy to learn the techniques, the placement. You put foils in like this, you can get a general understanding of that. And as hairdressers, we're extremely intelligent and can then use our unique fingerprint to make it even better. However, there's massive questions on how, when somebody comes in and wants a corrective color, and the amount of people that used to come into the dispensary and going, "Oh my God, I really come on, I've got to go through this with
The
you."
colour room meltdown,
Yeah,
I call it.
totally. That fingers crossed moment, you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, is this going to work? I hope it works." And it's like, well, yes, it will work because X, Y, Z. So have the confidence that it will work like that. You've tested the texture of the hair, you've tested the porosity, the strength. You know what the bleach does. It will work. But I think it's not having the knowledge of the science can create these meltdowns, which is a horrible feeling, and I don't want anyone to feel like that.
Does the science, for a lot of people, just terrify them in general, Sarah? That as hairdressers, as a
Yeah.
rule, science maybe for a lot of us wasn't something that we got overly engaged by. And science to me sounds frightening. And it's almost like colouring can be over complicating. And where do I start? What would you say about that?
Yes. I totally agree. I mean, people often say to me, but oh God, how boring it is. Or I remember sitting in chemistry or my science class or whatever and thinking, all I can hear is the teacher going, "Mark, mark, 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 mark." I haven't got a clue what she's saying. An absolute, and that's a clip from Snoopy, if anyone doesn't know. That's another 70s thing.
That's why I'm chuckling away. I knew exactly where you were at there.
Yes, so yes, what I try to do in chalk is keep it fun, keep it relatable, and really, I really get so excited about it because it is something that I love. And once you know it, your job is so much easier. You won't have these fear moments. You will be empowered and will actually want people to challenge you, because once you actually understand what the hair is doing, and it's extremely complicated, but if I can use, I don't know, coffee granules, and soaking kitchen roll in certain watered down dyes, then I will do to get the understanding of melanocytes and porosity, for example. So I do look at it and think about it in a simpler way, most definitely. Trying to keep
I
it
love that.
simple.
And I think that's great. And I think it's great for our listeners that are all at different levels. But
Mm.
I'm just thinking of myself as that very young hairdresser, 1986, starting out. And I wanted to be good at colouring. But
Mm.
I just shunned myself away from
Hmm.
it because I think I just felt it was overloading. And What would you say to people that are maybe starting out, Sarah? And I know you teach newbies who may be on a journey as well as the seasoned pros.
Yeah.
What's your advice that you say to people that feel a bit overwhelmed when they're first starting out with hair colouring?
They usually just need a big hug and come and sit down with me for a little bit.
Nice.
That's what it's. We're all in the same boat, and when we all start out, there are so many questions and there are so many whys, um, and for to have some sort of mentor or someone you can that maybe doesn't even work with you, that can actually say, do you know what, completely understand, let's talk about it further, get to understand the actual issue that you're trying to cope with, and move on from there, because there's always answers and there's always people that can help you. um, and when we're talking about science, I do say science a lot, and I say the science of hair and the science of color, and they are two different things, because the color does something different to what the hair's doing, but as they make a chemical change when they're together. However, it's just excitement, and it's just fun. And again, keeping it simple in bite-sized pieces, and having that time to then afterwards sit down, have a cup of tea, and really assess it, go over your notes, come back and ask questions. That's basically, I think, how a lot of us work. We don't all, it doesn't all sink in at once. When I
So it's almost like start in a kind of break it down into sections on
mm,
your journey with colour.
definitely. You have to start understanding. We were all taught. I mean, for me, it was City and Guilds. It wasn't MVQ. And, I think I was given £28.50 a week when I was an apprentice, but that was
Rock
a
and
long
roll lifestyle.
time ago. um, but with that, it is all consuming all at once. And I think if you're able to just, what was it when you're talking about the three growth cycles in hair: anagen, catagen, telogen. You're given this information, but it's not really explained. That, for a very long time, until I really thought about it, I thought hair grew all, because of roots, it all grew at one level. It doesn't, and so giving the honest answers. And the reason I started Chaulk Mentor, which is an apprenticeship program, is so I can actually fill in the gaps, that people may be missing out on, whatever age you are. I got to an age.
What do you think them gaps are, Sarah, that people could be missing out on?
Oh, that's a really good question, Dom.
Thank you.
I, I think for me, I see that when people start on the MVQ and they start on hairdressing training, everybody's in a rush. Everybody's so busy. And when you're in the salon, you might not have somebody. I had a great mentor. You might not have that great person that can spend time with you, and take time out of their daily work when they're trying to make their own money and spend time with you when you've got so many questions. And then, I mean, the amount of times I've heard apprentices say, oh, I just don't want to bother them, I just don't want. And then, I go to college and I don't think they really know. They just give you this information that they give everybody, but I've got these questions that aren't being answered. So I think that's what I tried to do, is
Like that.
basically look at what I'd really wanted to know when I first started hairdressing, even down to why I use a metal pintail comb, not a plastic one, what the differences are. Why do I use a YS Park comb, not a Pro Tip comb, on this certain technique?
Love it. Yeah.
You know,
These are things people want to know. Now that you're saying that, I want to ask why. why, but it will
We
be
could
a
go on
really long
forever, though.
podcast because we could go on. We'll just call it the Why podcast. But actually, it's really, really valuable what you're saying there, because it's all these factors that makes a bloody good hair colorist. And many people say, why do I really need to know whether I use a metal plastic tail comb, and why do I need to know the science of this? What is your reply to that?
Well, to be honest, if you don't want to know, you don't have to know. No, it's that's
Go
the
and drive a
thing. I
van.
think, well, yeah, off you pop. Go and style someone's hair because I don't want to do it. I I could say it in that way. I don't blow dry anyone's hair. I don't cut anyone's hair unless I really have to, unless I'm forced into it. And yes, I have learnt because I had to learn. And the reason why I had to learn was because if I didn't know the whole aspect of the material I'm working on, how was I going to visualize what it was going to look like in the end? Or, you know, so using a plastic pigtail comb is used because of some reactions it could have with certain chemicals you're using, which could affect the skin and hair and could affect your overall creation. And if you don't know that, then if your overall creation didn't come out exactly how you visualized, then that might be the reason. And wouldn't it be great if you could have stopped that before you got to the end process of 5 hours of laborious work? Maybe not laborious, it is good fun, but
It can be at times, but I love that, and I think it is really important for anybody that becomes an expert, and that can take years and years and years to become an expert. And for me, an expert is somebody just like you, Sarah, who has learnt the craft of colouring. But you have, and you just know that. I see that in the beautiful work
thank you.
that you create and do. And I think for anybody that listens to this, becoming an expert doesn't just happen on one course, does it, Sarah? I like that you're doing your mentorship as well. It is a journey with somebody.
It really is, and I think with Chaulk, I'm creating a community, and I really do have quite a good community with, a good number of followers and friends really as well. So education with me doesn't stop once you've left, or once I've left your salon. You can, or your team members can, or whoever wants to can contact me, and we can continue this. And I get quite a lot of messages via Instagram, email, text. Sorry, I've had this client in, and I don't know where I'm going with this. And to be honest, the nice thing about where I've got, 30 years in the industry, and I've worked with some fantastic people that I'm in awe of and always will be. And I've tried to learn from them. I do try and ask the why. I might be that really annoying person. But then what I've learned is I can pretty much in a few questions work out what someone has got a problem with their pain point in that area of colouring, and can help them. And whether it leads on to more education or just a few chats, it works. It does work. And it's because I love
No.
what I do, Dom,
Well, I think that's always important. It doesn't matter how you work in the industry, whether you love being behind the chair, educating, you've got to love that, haven't you? And then that's when the rewards come.
Yeah.
And it's just about being connected and engaging. And that's why I started the podcast, to connect people with the richness of our industry, and to understand that. And like I said it earlier on, but your richness is just so there. I didn't realise that you work with so many big names. I mean, Trevor Sorby, Paul Edmonds, Richard Ward, a young eager Sophia Hilton. You said, who I think you're quite chummy with as well. But that's made that richness, and that mentor that you've had from so many people that worked in these environments has led you to where you are, and that's what you're now doing. You're now that mentor and doing it in ways that probably when Errol was starting out and Trevor, they couldn't do this online in ways that, which is brilliant that we can have that. But
Exactly.
I'm keen to find a bit more now on Chaulk as well, and maybe we just go a bit more in that, and I want to make sure that we signpost people away. But it was born. Was it just yourself that started Chaulk? Just let's get a bit of background to the company itself.
You're going to make me weep now.
Sorry.
Not at all. We are still extremely good friends. I spoke to her this morning. So I moved away from London to the sea about 5 years ago. And as I said, Chaulk has always been in my mind. I mentor all the time without even realizing. And it's part of my persona, I suppose. And I remember when I moved, I was talking to Sophia actually, and I was saying, look, I really want to get to know in Hampshire people, salons, etc. I've lived and worked in London all my life. So, and she was like, well, you've just got to knock on doors really, and that's what you've got to do. And I was absolutely petrified. Going into salons it was almost like a client would feel, oh, I don't know, but it's a new salon. What are they
They're
going to
quite
think?
scary, aren't they? If you don't know
Sometimes
salons, I've been there as well. Walking into hair salons can be quite intimidating places.
they definitely can. So I was actually on a shoot, which was really quite interesting because it was for Clairol box dye, so home color. And they were doing an advert, and it was my friend Lianne Storer. She messaged on Instagram asking if anyone would like to assist, and I said, well, I'll do this because I am so interested, because I'd love to know if box dyes work like hair color in the salon. Are they the same? Do they work? I'd love to know.
Here comes that why again, isn't it?
There
That
you go.
inquisitive Sarah, yes.
Look, I'll do anything like that for free to find these answers out. So happily went along, and we were chatting. It was a 2 or 3 day shoot, so I stayed up in London, and we just hit. I don't know. We just knew each other really well, and actually, then I realised that she had taught me my Goldwell master colorist. A few years before, and I was like, oh my goodness, you were the lady that taught me. So we knew each other, and we hit it off really well. And so I was talking to her and saying that I want to do some sort of education, go around salons, really sort of almost like a kitchen nightmares type thing, without obviously
Nice.
salons aren't nightmares, but go in and help people out with their pain points.
I get it.
And Lianne was like, oh, I really love this idea. And so Chaulk was born. Basically, I said, I want to be brand neutral. And she was totally in agreement because...
why was that important to you?
Well, again, it was something that I discovered throughout my hairdressing career, is whenever somebody came to a new salon, so they moved salons, they would move brand as well. Not all the time, but a lot of the time they'd be saying, oh my goodness, I used to use Wella and you use L'Oreal. Oh, I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to perform as well. And of course, as soon as you start in the salon, you start on the floor and you're given clients. Or you might have regular clients that follow you and they're used to the colour being a certain way. So is it going to be the same? And this is where I was like, but it never scares me, because if you know the science, colour is colour and hair is hair. And as long as you're assessing it and understand the tone of that brand, you'll understand how this colour is going to work.
Love that. That's a real USP of what Chaulk is about, isn't it? The being brand neutral teaching.
Definitely. It just makes it easier, and it just stops, again, that fear, that meltdown that you have in the staff room, or you move to a different salon, or your brand changes the color because they've just decided to not change just the packaging, but or they
It
take.
is a massive ordeal, isn't
It
it? For every
really
one of
is.
us that is listening to this, as any hair professional will know, it is a massive ordeal. Colour brand change. So being equipped
Yeah,
to be comfortable with any brand
yeah.
is hugely important. And I totally understand that and I get it. And I really think, why didn't many other people go down this route? What year was this when this started? Because I think timelines are always important when you're
Oh my
listening to these
goodness.
podcasts.
So 2017, it was Lianne and I. We started talking about it, and September 2018, Chaulk was born.
Right,
And
okay.
then, so we were building and getting ourselves noticed and doing something we've never really done before. We've always been behind the scenes. So, with myself, with whichever salon I worked in, I was always within the shoots and the shows, but I would be behind the scenes, not actually. I'd let the stars be on the front and they can shoot.
Why was that?
It doesn't appeal to me. It's not important. The important part is the fun and the camaraderie with the team behind the scenes and feeling the the love and
So
connection.
was Leanne more the out front person then?
Yeah, she definitely was. She's Rush trained, Debbie G trained, and then went to Goldwell. So she was really in front of not so much the camera, but on the teaching side of things. Yes, she would always be the person that would start the course, would know how it was going to be fundamentally set out. And I was the puppy in the background going, "Can we talk about this? Can we just tell them everything, please?" And she'd be like, "You can't do that because brains don't work like that." And I'd be like, "Oh God, okay." So she's a complete asset, and absolutely loved every minute of working with her. So much so that she moved down from London to Bournemouth. So literally, she's an hour away from where I am. Um, but unfortunately, uh, I think lockdown really shook a lot of people up, and she moved out of London in lockdown and decided that Chaulk was just too much for her, along with doing clients, because we both still do clients as well, and she's got young family, and my energy can be quite consuming.
At least we know it. That's always an important
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, it really is. So Chalk is now solely run by myself. However, the ethos is still there, and I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it more, and it's changed slightly in the fact that there are issues that Leanne maybe would put a break on, and sort of say, "Sarah, you no, you can't be that controversial," and I will say, "Why not?" So now there's no one to tell me I can't be
Right. So
controversial.
how did you deal with that moment when she said to you, "Look, yeah, Sarah, I don't feel this is for me right now, and I'm gonna come away from chalk."
Dom, that is such a. I don't think anyone's even asked me that. That's quite an incredible question. Chalk for me was both of us. And if anyone messages Chalk, they say, "Hey, ladies," or "the Chalk ladies," or "Hey, both." And she was my right arm. So initially, when she first told me, the type of person I am, all I wanted to do was give her a big hug, because she's obviously hurting and she'd kept it in for a very long time. And I just wanted to make sure she felt okay. And then, of course, the issue comes up of, oh gosh, what have I done? Was it me? Was it, And no, that isn't. That is just the horrible demon that you have in your head that tells you you're worthless. And it isn't anything to do with that. We are still very close, and I still run things past her. So we pretty much message every day. And I know she has to move on. Dom, I don't know if it's because we're of a certain age, but I understand that there are so many stories to people's lives. And so to actually make a decision to move away from something she really, really enjoyed and really loved is a massive decision and a massive step. So I have empathy and awe for her. I really do. Greatest respect.
I mean, because you were you a team, weren't you? A bit
Yeah.
like Ant and Dec, the Hairy
Yeah.
Bikers. It's a duo, and
Yeah.
Chaulk, we all knew as you and Lianne, and so it's a massive moment. Was there a moment where you thought, can continue as Chaulk, or what was your take on
Oh,
that?
yes. I think, well, it's still quite new. So she must have told, well, so the mentor program was launched on the 18th of October this year. And I think she must have told me half term she had time off, and then the week after half term, so beginning of November, she told me. And I would say these past weeks, I have struggled. I have really struggled. Um, but when anyone asked me and said, "Are you going to get another, you know, so you're still a duo, a partner?" I was like, "No, I can't. I cannot. I basically have to hold this torch for both of us now." And there's a lot of moments every day, I will be totally honest with you, Dom, where I think imposter syndrome, and can I really do this? Um, Especially because I'm still filming things for the mentor program. It goes on for a whole year, the mentor program, and it started in October. So some people have joined right at the beginning, and some people are joining throughout. You can join whenever. However, it is a 6 module session. So you take 2 months to complete each module with lots of different lessons and things involved. And I'm still filming that, where I used to do it with Lianne and we could bounce off each other, and it's a bit more tricky. However,
But I guess you're finding
yeah,
your new way of moving forward with Chalk, and that's exciting.
yeah, it really is. And again, it's almost putting my identity even more into it now as well, which I hope is empowering for people. I don't
Mm.
want it to be overwhelming, and I don't want it to be too much for anybody. I just want to help. I've got to this point in my life. I just want to, you know, give back as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, even getting to know you even more in this conversation. We know each other through digital and platform, but I get that from you. I have a warmth, but you're clearly very caring in what you do, as well as being very talented, and that's
Thank you.
massively important. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us all, Sarah, because I think it's important that people get to understand that it isn't all plain sailing, that behind all this sort of what we see on the frontage is just amazing, and God, their lives just fantastic. It's challenging.
Oh yeah,
We these are the things that we learn. It's part of that journey, part of the roller coaster ride that we're all on in our lives.
definitely, definitely, and I see it all the time, Don. I know we were just discussing before, how wonderful your setup looks, but you know, you were telling me the chaos and that we can't see that's in front of you.
You
So
can't see it, absolutely, because we all have that, and that's the same for
it
everybody. I've
is,
gone to brands who I think have got like in ivory towers,
yeah,
or and you go in there and you think, wow, it's a couple of
yeah,
desks. It's just the reality, but that's what makes things really appealing for me. Is actually they're real.
yeah.
They understand our problems, and I think certainly with yourself, Sarah, you get that. You're blood runs through hairdressing and
Oh,
colouring,
yeah,
and that's why you can talk to people and excite, and I am excited now where you're going forward as we get to know Chalk, and Lianne I'm sure will be there and
of course you
about
will.
doing her thing, but you're now taking Chalk forward, and something that I really like about what you're all about is what's really important to you is having your own identity
Yes.
as a colorist, and I
Yes.
think that's probably something that's coming through from you, right? Now in this new era of chalk.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's exciting to own own it. Own it. I used to remember I remember saying to I don't think this happens so much now, but assistants and apprentices that would come and work at the salons that I've worked in, and they would have their own uniform. So you'd have a t-shirt. So and there's lots of different shapes and sizes, and colorings of skin, and of course you're given a black t-shirt. It doesn't suit me, that's for sure. But the biggest thing that I would say to all of them was, there you go, there's your t-shirts, own it, wear it, rock it, it's yours, do what you will with it, because it's about you and how you wear it. And this is what chalk education is about. There's a lot of the time when I was training and moving salons as I did, so from Tony and Guy to Trevor Sorbie, from Trevor Sorbie to Paul Edmonds and Richard Ward, I've been around. Each salon would test you before you started, and then they would break down and you do some sort of vardering. And Brooks and Brooks still do this, I know, and there's still a lot of salons that do. So if you start, even as a mature hairdresser, you would come in and do your training, because they would strip you back down and teach you the way of that brand.
Correct.
And I'm just here saying, if you can be more individual and you want to be noticed, that's the way to do it with your unique fingerprint. And the way, again, I liken this, your unique fingerprint, to, does anyone remember not wanting to do PE at school? And you needed to sign a letter from your mum saying, Sarah doesn't want to do PE today because of XYZ. And you'd have to sign their signature. Did it ever look like their signature? I used to think it did, but looking back, it most definitely didn't, because the only person that can sign her name, my mum, is my mum. And when you compare yourself to other people in your salon or other people in your industry, it's despair. It's very despairing. So to actually understand your own unique fingerprint and how you are going to create this look, then that's why people come to you. And you will feel more empowered and you will feel happier in your daily life, because you're not comparing. I can't do the beautiful melts that Sophia Hilton does. But I don't want to. It's not where I find joy. Where I find joy is in highlighting. And I will do highlighting in many different ways to make it look like a balayage, a creative colour, or
I love
a
that.
classic highlight.
We've almost lost the like foils and highlighting just suddenly become
It's awful.
like it's like through the cap highlights almost thought process
It
now.
is,
It's
isn't it?
but there's such a place there still for woven highlight,
Yeah,
or for highlighting in general. How will you play the classic technique?
exactly. There really is. And highlights, to me, I think, is the foundation of placement. If you can put highlights in, with foils, with slicing, with weaving, thick, fine, whatever, you can create so many different looks in the same haircut. And that's where that's my strength. That is my
Mm.
strength.
That's your signature.
Yeah, that is my signature. So
That's your sign. I love
I
it.
own
I
it.
quite often ask that in podcasts, and I say that, what is your signature? And we should all have our
Yeah,
signature in some ways, because it's what you stand for, isn't it? You can be pretty good at stuff, but you need to have that thing that you said there, and I love that. sign it and own it. You're not going to be Sophia Hilton. That's her thing. She's signed
Yeah.
that, and it's really important. I think that's a great takeaway for everybody. And and that's, I know you cover that in your courses, don't you? And you with mastering these techniques. So there's lots of things that are there, and I think you're all about trying to fill in the gaps as well. I know you said this to us previously, just with some info, that you're filling in the gaps that maybe the MVQ misses out as well, and I think that's really is important.
Can we say that, Tom? I mean, again, it's not
Yeah.
actually, I'm not
Look,
slagging
we
it
can
off.
say this because the industry talks about it, and
Yeah.
it's not. Look, the MVQ is great in areas. I kind of describe it like we learn to drive.
Yeah.
Then we learn to drive once we've passed the test.
So
And
true.
you adapt. And the MVQ can only put in so much.
Yeah.
Because we have a limited time. So, there is going to be things that are missing. And I have nothing against the MVQ or colleges. I think they do a great job. I think they get a lot of bad stick. But we need to fill in the gaps that MVQ misses.
Most definitely. And this is where, if, salons are busy, especially at the moment, that the mentor program does come in even more. It's a subscription, so the salon subscribes, and then they choose the apprentice that they would like to go through this whole mentor program. As I said, it takes over a year to complete. You can pop in and out if you want to, but you have to start at the beginning, because I really do want to fill in any gaps. And some things are repeated and some things are reiterated, just to reaffirm what you already know. Because isn't it something like 20?
There's some seasoned pros out there who would really need to maybe refresh, who have got into old habits, and just get that vavoom back a little bit as well sometimes.
Yes,
on doing this kind of stuff. I think it's important, before we just come to the end of I knew I was going to have a lovely time with you.
Could
You
go
just get
on
a good feeling
forever.
about podcast. But yeah, no, it's delightful. People are thinking, right, I want to start my journey. And I want to start my journey. I like, Sarah. They're thinking this. She's giving out the big hugs, but they believe you. Where does the journey start? What advice would you give to them if they're thinking, look, I want to invest in you? Where do they go? What would you advise them to do in taking that journey forward with you?
Just get in touch. I'm on Instagram. You can message me there. I have a Chaulk talk, which basically is a complimentary video call, and we can go over your pain points, and I can, within that 15 minutes, or it usually takes more, go through where you've got your problems, where you really are stuck, and I will find a solution for you, most definitely. And it may be that it's something that's done online via Zoom, or I can visit your salon, or you can come to my studio down here in Southsea and see the sea.
And it's a lovely part of the world down there. It's one of my favourite parts of the world. Hampshire, and beautiful. It's just a lovely part. Yeah, it's lovely and cheap to live as well. Not for our US guests, if they're wondering where we're talking about in England, just down on the south coast. It's work your way along from Brighton, and you'll head along towards Sarah's part of the world. Okay, so people are thinking, great, there's all kinds of courses there, as you say. If people really want to go deep with you, mentorship, there's video courses if you just want to access some of your pre-recorded videos that are there, which is great. And you really are just about getting everybody well equipped to start with confidence on the salon floor, which I think is massively important. So the links, I believe, is it again? You said it earlier on, Chaulk. So that's CHAULK.co.uk.
Right. And
then
Chaulk Education is Instagram.
There you go.
And everything is on the website as well. So
so websites are a wonderful place, guys, that you can go and check out websites. And as I say, get in touch with Sarah, I think is really important. I'll put the links that we've mentioned as well into the show notes that accompany today's episode, howtocut.it/EP 225. All right, and there'll be all the links and lovely picture of Sarah. But if you want to see this in video, then we're going to have it on our brand new YouTube channel. I can't stress this enough. It's dead new. I want more people to come and visit it because it's a great place to come and have a look. So again, we'll put a link in the show notes for that. So brilliant time. We could go in so many directions, and I think actually, again, Sarah, I would like to bring you back again maybe in the future to go even deeper into some of the science and maybe a bit more education on that as well, because I think there's so much we can go on this. But what's your takeaway for everybody today? What would you like them to leave with this podcast?
Be yourself. You are unique. And shout about it, rock it, and wear it well.
That's pretty good to me. I'm going to take that one. Thank you so much for coming on, Sarah. It's been a really lovely time in your company today.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.